First and foremost, just from a department standpoint, I want to congratulate our field hockey coach, the winner, Barb Weinberg. 100 wins, 4-0 to start the year, so great job by them. And then just congrats again to all the Hall of Fame people that were inducted. Got a chance to see Victor before the game, so that was great. So happy for him. As far as just evaluating the tape and looking at it, you know, just bottom line is just missed opportunities. Had plenty of chances to win the game. You know, the things I look at, we were in the green 5 out of those 7 categories that we always look at, win or loss. So turnover margin, we were +1, second half time possession, we were +10, almost 11 minutes, third down, we won. Red zone, we won 20-13 in terms of points. Punts inside the 20-yard line, we had 5, they had 1. So when you're in the green like that, you know, it usually comes down to making plays and having opportunities to do that. We didn't do that, so credit to them. You know, penalties was what really killed us. We had 4 in the fourth quarter, 9 overall. Just lack of discipline, which won't be tolerated. You know, as you go through the game, you know, I thought in the second half, you know, I'll take you through it. And you know, yesterday's team meeting was not fun. To be honest with you, it's ownership Sunday. So we went through a 24-play cutup. Took about 35-40 minutes to go through. Call guys out. Same thing in special teams. Calling guys out there, and they got to take ownership for it. Calling coaches out, myself included, which I'll get to. We got to be better. So, you know, but 20-10, we're driving on offense, 3rd and 1 at the +16. Take a TFL for -6. Can't do it, right? Which leads to a blocked field goal, right? So that's the start. Defense goes out, explosive play, touchdown. So 20-17. Then we got second possession on offense. We have a 1st and 10. AJ scrambles, gets a first down. We have holding. 2nd and 20 puts us back. We got to end up punting. So we're in positive territory again with a first down. Penalty takes us back. Third possession on offense, we end up stopping them on D. It's 23-17 after the, you know, once we kick this field goal, we have 1st and goal in the 7. Right? 2nd down, we had a quarterback RPO called. Didn't read it right. So would have liked to take in that. And then we had an opportunity to hit Gibby in the back of the end zone just to make the throw. Tough throw, but ultimately came away there with a field goal, so 23-17. Then again, third defensive possession, explosive play, touchdown, 72 yards. So we're inside leverage to a cut split, which not sure why we did that, but you can't be inside leverage on a cut split in a single high defense with a guy on the hash. So that's our own fault. So now it's 24-23. We have a 58-yard kickoff return by TJ McGee. We're on the +36, sack, penalty ineligible downfield, punt it from the +36. So there's no one else to blame but ourselves on that. You know, 5th offensive possession, you know, Grant Jordan makes an unbelievable play on a cadence infraction by our center, right? Scrambles around, throws the ball down to Donnie Gray. We're on the +14 with it going in. It's 24-23. Holding, right, which was by the center, who just snapped the ball, so he got in his own feelings. That's what happens. Bad hold. He had the guy reached and need to sling him to the ground. So now we get a holding, then we take another bad sack, then we get another holding, and ultimately we kick a 53-yard field goal after we started on the +14-yard line. So that's ownership, right? It's on us. We can't win with threes. 4th defensive possession, we get an interception. Probably everyone that's involved with UMass thought we were going to win the game. Okay, and this is where it comes down to trying to kill the clock on offense, right? They have 2 timeouts left, right? Our first two play calls, we were on the same page. We misblocked it on the first one. Second one, we decided to run, right? Didn't get it. I should have been more aggressive on 3rd down. Should have thrown the ball, right? So the differential there was 19 seconds. The 2-minute timeout is still going to happen. We should have played to win the game there. I liked the play call. We felt confident. It was a Q run. Our Q runs were very good in this game. Again, we got one called back earlier. Jaquan Gibson lined up illegally. We had a 19 to 20-yard gain from Grant Jordan on a quarterback run early in the game. So that was being effective all day. Didn't happen, but I look in the mirror for me. I should have been more adamant about probably throwing it. Had a great conversation with Jake in my office probably about midnight Saturday night as we were both watching the game. So shoulda, coulda, woulda. If we executed on those plays, we could have put away the game because we were in downtime once the 2-minute timeout were to hit because they had 0 timeouts. So that's the one I want back. And then, you know, fifth possession on defense. Again, we're inside leverage on the cut split. They're driving. They hit the explosive play, and then we get a DPI. So ultimately, when you're in the green like that in all those categories, you got to show up and make plays. We did not. We got to keep going, But that's the story of the game, and that's exactly what we took the team through. So if anyone's wondering what happens on a Sunday, it's not fun, but that's part of the job. So confident in the group, got to move forward, and we had a great challenge this week, which I'm sure we'll talk about. So here we go.
What was the players' response to that meeting?
I don't know if they've ever been through one like that. We certainly haven't with me, but accountable. We covered everything in the beginning. Don't give me any faces. Don't give me any looks on the penalties, because at the end of the day, they called it a penalty, right? A lot of them were. Some were close. It is what it is, right? But I think they took ownership for it. I think they sat up. I think they looked me in the eye. But that was the first time we kind of been through that, in a game where I felt like, we really just didn't execute to the level that we're capable of. So we'll find out though tomorrow, right? Tuesday is the day when you find out about your team, because we talk about flushing it before our family dinner on Sunday night. They have all day today. Today's their NCAA day off. Just saw the O-line. O-line was in watching film all together. They seem like they're in a good spot. So we'll see how we come out in practice tomorrow. I'll know then if they flushed it or not.
Got two questions. One, you mentioned that you guys watch tape Saturday. Are you normally a Saturday night tape watcher, or are you a coach where you would rather sleep on it and then watch it first thing Sunday morning?
Yeah, it's changed a little bit for me, because I got to watch three phases now. So I usually do one here, maybe 1.5, and then I take the iPad home, get home, and I do it in my office in my house. Everybody else is kind of different, but I think after something like that, you usually end up watching it. But times change for me. I usually only have to watch, over the last 6-7 years, only one side. So now you got to watch all three, make your notes, and then on Sunday what we do is we go with defense for an hour, offense for an hour, special teams for an hour, just the coaches. So Mark plays and watch that with that.
So when you watched it all over 2 weeks, where have you seen progression and where have you seen regression?
Yeah, I think the progression is, we're executing at a level for a certain period of time, and then it just has gone down. Whether that's the situation, the pressure of the situation. If you look at both games, Temple got out of hand. 18-point differential there. We talked about that last week. So the ability to keep going when it might not look like we have an opportunity. But I just watched the game last night where they were down 15 in the fourth quarter. They came back to win. So it's never over. And then certainly this week, I think the magnitude of the situation, being in a tight game and executing, that's probably where, for the first time, I saw a little bit of regression in that standpoint. So we got to execute. We got to have execution stamina for longer, and then you got to make plays in situations. Like, that's ultimately why in Division I football, teams that make more plays in tight games win the game. Right? It's about execution and understanding that. And we blew some gaskets. Our field goal operation was crap. They could have blocked probably 3 or 4 of them. We just had nothing that we're coached to do, just heat of the moment, down blocking on field goal, which I don't even know how that happens, but it happened. Kickoff coverage, right? We don't get to the level of the ball. We're not setting edges. So those two things there, but just from an overall standpoint, those critical moments where you got to step up and make a play. We talked about, was it the situation that put you in that mindset to not use your technique, or what was it? So we're open about that, had conversations, and we're looking forward to hopefully getting better in those sets.
What would you say are the first steps in cleaning up the defensive issues?
Yeah, I think I think we talked as coaches. Certainly the 2 corners besides TJ McGee that were in there were 5th and 6th on the depth chart going into the year. So we got to be able to help our guys out a little bit more, right? We did not hold up a man. We didn't do that, so we made some changes there late in the game. But we're going to have to see what we can do coverage-wise, what we can do situationally to help our guys out. We're not creating a pass rush right now, right? Which is an issue. If you rush 4 and you play man or quarters, bad stuff's going to happen if you don't get to the quarterback. So we got to look at some things there and try and help them out. It's just the nature of the beast. As of today, there's 9 starters out. So how do we go and compete with the guys that we have? And we talked about that yesterday. Some guys didn't think they were getting in the game, and I've covered that over the last 2 weeks. You got to prepare like you're a starter, and we got to keep moving forward.
Prognosis on Brandon?
Yeah, so I'll just give you the outs as of today. So we know about Nobles and Franks. Malcolm Green is out, Ty Harding's out, Barnes is out, J-Mac's out, Sully's out, Rose is out, and Zeron Daniels out. So will we get some of them back? Hopefully. We'll see how the week progresses, but if the game was tomorrow, that would be the decision, obviously, from the medical team. That does a great job, communication-wise and all that, but, Brandon's x-rays are negative. It's a shoulder, we got some shoulders right now, which are tricky situations because it has to do with the stability in the shoulder and ultimately your strength to protect yourself. So I'm hoping we do something with him this week. I'll know more by the end of the week, but all of these guys, besides Nobles and Franks, who are out for the year, this is going to be how they progress, right? And just how, the hard part about that is how you practice, right? So do we have to change things there? How we practice to get them ready, but it is what it is. We lost J-Mac and B Rose in the game. The other guys were all out, so we'll have to keep going. Like next guy up mentality, and here we go. Everyone's going through it, so I'm sure there's other teams that are worse than that.
Quarterback, would Grant essentially be the starting quarterback?
Yeah, we talk. I think right now we're going to evaluate the week and see. I feel very comfortable with both. Certainly in the game, we said before the game that if Brandon went down, we'd play both, and then there's a moment in time where you get in that critical situation. We just felt like Grant had a little bit more momentum. I know AJ only got the one drive, but Grant seemed to extend some plays with his feet and gave us the ability. We felt comfortable with that in that game. So we'll go through this week. Both will compete, and both will, we'll make a decision. But I don't have that decision right now.
They seem a little different, right? Grant seems maybe similar to Brandon in terms of extended plays that you talked about. What's the challenge of potentially preparing two guys with different packages?
Yeah, a lot of that depends on also who's around him. I think that's something that we got to look at. Iowa obviously on defense for years is really, really good, right? And they're not going to give up the explosive. That's the best thing. That if you look at the stats, they don't give up explosive plays. So how can we put a plan together with the guys that are available to move forward? But certainly I've talked in the past. They're different. All three of them are different. And we gotta whoever goes in and plays, we gotta highlight the game plan around that. So it'll be a little bit tricky probably from that standpoint, but I feel confident. I'm very confident in both of them. And that's, ultimately all those reps in the spring and what we had to do during camp before we made actual decision, hopefully play benefits down the road.
Could you see a thing where it's like a matchup thing, like you said, who's around them? Also, what the defenses do.
Yes,
could you hold up?
I think there's some merit to that, but I think ultimately it's just what gives us the best chance to win the game. First, with a personnel decision, and also game plan. There is some familiarity. I think this is Jake's 7th time going against him. Kurt was with him at Northwestern, and this will be my 6th time playing them over the last. This will be my 7 years. So. But listen, that's a program that's been established, right? Coach Ferentz, what he's done is pretty rare these days in college football to be in one spot for a long time and to have an identity and not have changeover and all those things that are going on now. So we'll just have to see. We're game planning right now. We're going through it. Guys are in here, and we got to come out with what's going to give us the best chance.
Were you happy with how Grant responded?
Yeah, it was.
Being thrown in the deep end.
Yeah, listen, Grant probably takes more ownership than anyone. That's what a quarterback does. He understands that those 2 sacks were critical, right? Those are probably the biggest things. And then just some things that he does really well, right? I thought he was in a rhythm there on that first drive. He hit TK twice in a row. The check down to Brandon Hood is excellent. We get the face mask there, which I already went over. We get 1st and goal. We can't punch it in. We have to kick a field goal. But you saw his experience, right, from being in those moments really helped him out. And I'm looking forward to both those guys going out this week and seeing what they can do.
Does it help you having a guy like him, as your second guy, that you don't have one of those old bleep moments when your starter goes down?
Yeah, I would have felt that way either way. Because again, we went into the week kind of saying that, compete during the week and see who does better. So obviously Grant was the first guy in, but I feel good about both of them. I think they have confidence. Yes, Grant has more experience, but AJ's kind of got that gunslinger mindset that he's not afraid of anything, which is why he is who he is, right? Which we appreciate and we love. So, but yeah, I didn't blink an eye. To be honest with you, I didn't even know really Brandon was going to be out for that drive, because I make sure that the medical team gets it to the special teams coordinator first, and then the coordinator, so because they got to make decisions when I'm watching the other side of the ball in the field. So, I didn't even really blink an eye. Maybe that's because I went through the spring where it was those two. I went through the camp where they're both getting reps with the ones. So I know they've been in it. Now we just got to go do it in live situation.
So can you scout out the offense of Iowa? What are they like?
Yeah, so they got the grad transfer. Obviously, they played at South Dakota State. Their O-line is legit, and I have nightmares of zone and stretch. I call it stretch. From over my years at Minnesota and Rutgers, like they come off the ball. I think their left guard, who I actually recruited at Minnesota for a little bit, Bo Stevens, is an animal. I mean, they're all animals. Logan Jones. I remember Logan Jones recruiting him as a defensive lineman, and that's what they do there. They get some really good defensive linemen. They switch them over to O-line. Right, so their O-line is legit. I mean, legit. So our D-line is in for, a test, to say the least. So we better have good paddle, we better get off the rock, we better dent, we better have a great target with our hands. Obviously tight end wise, they've always had great tight ends, but it starts with the quarterback and really stopping the run against them. I think number 5 and number 2, really good wideouts. So I know right now they want more production probably out of everybody, but this test will be nothing short of a very, very hard one.
Is this a game where your linebackers are going to have to really step it up because maybe the line holds the line and they're the ones who are going to have to make the tackles?
Yeah, I think just their identity, right? They're going to be downhill in their run game. That's what sets everything up. So it's going to start up front for us, and then we got to get downhill and we got to make tackles. Like this is going to be a violent game, like extremely violent. And again, just from playing them, they're going to try and suffocate you on defense, not give up the explosive play, get after you, hit the quarterback, be downhill. They play violence, so we got to match the violence. Like if we don't match the violence, we'll get thrown out of the stadium quickly. So, and they're probably not too happy right now with last week for them. So I'm sure they're looking forward to getting back out and taking it out on somebody.
Is your number one goal just getting out of this game healthy, especially the hole you're already in?
No, we're going to win the game.
You went from 3 running backs in week 1 to just 2 in week 2. What's that decision like for you guys?
Yeah, I think just as we start to progress, I mean, I think Rocco gives you, that starter's mentality, and he's been really, really good. And I think Brandon, like I said after the game, like Brandon's got a little bit of a lightning bolt to him. Like can put his foot in the ground. He had a great counter run there for the touchdown. Check down was to him. Like you're going to need 2 backs. If we just ride Rocco, he's going to be beat up and he's not going to be able to survive, right? And so we got to be able to have that. Juwan went in there some short yardage, gave us a shot there. So I think we're going to ride the hot hand. But I think situationally, what you're seeing is being able to play multiple guys in different situations. Pass protection comes into that, which I think our pass pro in terms of Saturday was pretty good. So we got to keep going.
On Saturday, you said you didn't know it'd be this hard to teach people how to win. What aspects have been the toughest for you guys?
Yeah, I just think when your mind gets in those situations, we're all human. Like you go back to what your experiences have been, and that's been losing. So in order to teach that, we have to be in these moments. Continue to have growth, right? And growth is really forged from repetition. Like that's what we have to focus on. We got to keep putting ourselves in situations to win a game, and then we got to go win them. But even for us as coaches coaching all together, like I said, I take ownership for that 3rd down. Should have been better there. So we're all doing it together for the first time. Everyone wants it immediately, and we're trying everything we can do to get that done. But I think it's just human nature to have so many negative experiences that the first thing that goes wrong, your mind goes there, and we got to cut that out, and we just got to go play. And like I just went over with you at the game, we could just never get it right. Could just never put the hammer down. And when you're up 20-3, I don't care who you're playing, you got to choke them out. Like you got to put the hammer down and go get it. Like it's college football. Like people are going to come back. There's going to be momentum swings, but you have an opportunity. 20-10, go in and score. Make it 27-10. Like take the life out. And no matter the level we play, who we're playing, whatever it is, if you don't choke people out, there's hope, right? And when you put, if we all put a crazed animal in the corner, we all start attacking. It's got one way to go. It's going to try and get out. So we got to be better. We got to have that mindset that we're going to choke people out.
For you, what's the experience like going to Iowa?
Yeah, it's me personally. I was in the Big Ten for 6 seasons. I've played in all the stadiums. It was, to me, by far the best Big Ten environment. From you want to talk about the Wave, right? The Wave is an unbelievable. Over there, the Children's Cancer Center over there, that's behind the visiting sideline. I mean, I always used to say, like, there's probably not a whole lot other to do in Iowa, and they got a lot of Iowa players, right? You grow up, you're an Iowa fan. You grow up, you go to the Iowa games. I mean, wait to the people that are going on the trips to the tailgate scene, and then just their stadium has just got so much history. Kind of feels like you're standing in the middle of a spaceship, very much like Nebraska. Iowa and Nebraska to me. Listen, I've been in the shoe, been in the big house, been a lot of other places, but it's just, I think there's just so much passion for Iowa football, right? Like I said, that you grow up, you bleed it, and it's gonna be awesome. And like we talked yesterday after we finished our walk, we were like, there's only one team in the country that gets to go out there. It's us. So rather than focus on the result, right, and worry about what's going to happen, just go out and enjoy the experience and play. And that's what we got to do. We got to get lost in the moment and go play.
Do you do anything differently during practice this week? Are you going to play? Because it's obviously one of the noisiest places. Do you do that?
Yeah, we're going to crank the crowd noise on offense and on special teams for sure. So we'll have that set up in the stadium, which is where those 2 teams practice. The defense goes over to the bubble field, so they have the whole field. So we'll definitely be cranking that up because it's going to be loud. And they are right on top of you. So, like, literally, I'm sitting here on the bench, that's the fans right here. So, but that's part of the experience, right? I mean, that's what makes this fun. And that's what I think we need to do. We need to get lost in the moment. Our belief can't waver. We got to go execute, and we got to be a boss this weekend. That's what we got to do.
You touched on it briefly, but as a defensive guy, like, can you just talk about like the admiration you have for like what Iowa and Ferentz have been able to do?
Yeah, it's funny. Like, they are very similar to what we ran both at Minnesota and Rutgers. Right, a lot of the guys that integrated into this defense all used to meet. They're kind of from the same tree, and I just appreciate, like, what Coach Parker does is, like, he does what he does, and it's just unbelievable to watch. Like, from a defensive perspective, like, not giving up an explosive play. I mean, you've just seen it. Like, we gave up 10 the first 2 games. I think they've led the country several times over the last couple of years. Right, and that was something when I got to Rutgers, I'm like, hey, listen, stop the run, limit explosive plays, and create takeaways. The formula isn't that difficult. It's the process of that which becomes really difficult. But just to see them year in and year out dominate on defense, create takeaways, stop the run, and limit explosives, it's just it shows you, right? It's kind of like what we're trying to do. You're trying to create an identity here, get the right people in, build it, and establish it so that everybody can enjoy it. And it's been really fun to watch. Like, every year since I was at Minnesota in 19, every offseason, all Iowa games are broke down and we watched their defense. Like, it's what we did, right? And it just gives you a mindset, gives you some ideas, and it's not very complicated, but it is hard. It is hard in terms of going against them. So, and Coach Jake, like I said, this will be the 7th time. I believe that probably the 7th time that him and Phil have gone against each other. So it's gonna be fun. That's what makes it fun, but it's gonna be really hard. So I'm excited to see what we do. Do we go out there and not show up, or do we go out there and get lost in the moment and enjoy the experience and go win? Let's go do it.
You talked about needing to figure out what you can do defensively in the pass game, like what can they handle. Is there any similar process? I know you talked about the offensive red zone possessions. Is there anything similar in the red zone offense? Like, what can we do?
Yeah, I think Jake made a great point in the U meeting yesterday. Usually red zone efficiency for offense, the most important down is first down. I think right now that's something that we're looking at. How do we be more positive on first down with what we got to do? I think we've had some variety there. Like, we've gotten to 13. It's worked and it hasn't. We've gotten into 12, 11. So we just got to keep going. I think a lot of that has to do with the execution of some things. Like, I talked about that second down play. But certainly, yeah, it's the same type of mindset. Like, now we have 2 games. Like, the biggest thing is we have 2 games of data with our players. So how do we evaluate that? What they do well, what they don't, how we put them in positions to be successful. And back to your last question, that's what Iowa does, right? Especially defensively. Like, they put their guys in situations that they know they're successful and they can be successful. And that's something that we talked about too. In critical situations, we as coaches have to remember we need to make play calls on 3 phases that gives our guys the best chance to cut it loose and go make a play, right? And sometimes, I've been there, you get caught up because you want the perfect call. Call what you know they know and put them in a situation that they can just go rip it. And I think that's the mistake that a lot of coaches make sometimes, myself included. You want to get so caught up in the scheme and having the perfect call that it slows them down and it hinders them. Pre-snap communication, what I'm looking at. So that's something that we talked about on all 3 phases and how we can be better with that too.
Will Gibson get any more attempts off the backfield going forward in the season?
Yeah, I think that was something that we want to do. You know, he's certainly, I believe he's leading the MAC right now in catches. But when you have playmakers like that, you want to get them the ball as much as you can. So certainly there's some things there. I think we've given him 2 jet sweeps. We tried to hand it off there with AJ in. You know, that was a pull read, but still, like trying to get him the ball. You know, something that we talked about too is trying to get more guys like TJ McGee, giving him more chances on kickoff return. Now, our plan there is like our average start drive has been the 25 or plus. It was 36 on Saturday. So, you know, we're doing the right thing there, but certainly with TY out, that was giving us a chance to do that, and you saw how explosive he was. So I think your point is, yeah, that 2 games of data, like who's making the plays, who's not, and put them in positions and kind of moving them around. So that's certainly, especially with some depth issues, that's exactly what we're gonna have to do. And that same goes defensively. Like we're gonna have to switch some things up, give some more guys chances on pass rush, right? Move guys around. We don't have a lot of depth right now, so how do we give guys different packages that they can do? But that's a great point. I think we're exactly gonna have to do that, and especially offensively. We gotta get the ball on the guys that can break tackles, right, and make plays. So certainly we'll be looking forward to that, 100%.
Sounds good. Thank